felt sure the strange creatures would devour everything and anyone else in their path. At the same time, to Jane's left, the people at the mall ran and dove behind trash cans and held each other in terror. The man in the army coat continued advancing at a slow, steady pace. Tears streamed down Jane's face, but the woman with the blue hair wiped them away.
Do not cry. This is a glorious day. This is my day, my destiny. And I will lead you from the shadows by my example as I should have done from the start.
Jane turned away from the woman and found herself facing an old, bearded man in a white wool toga and open-toed sandals. His eyes, perhaps once blue, had turned milky white with cortical cataracts. Jane knew she'd seen him before, but couldn't remember where or when.
Tell him it's you!
The man reached up and touched her face with dry, gentle hands, feeling across the shape of her features.
It is you, isn't it? You must be sure. You must have him bring you to healing. Only then will you know your path.
The old man reached into his toga and pulled out a knife. Jane recognized it as the hunting knife her father had given her for her 19th birthday. She took it cautiously from his hand.
It was science that eroded the pathways, so don't be afraid to draw blood. But just a little cut. Only so he'll notice. Her name is Dr. Mizra.
He moved to go, thoroughly soaked, and then seemed to think better of it. He turned back to Jane and gently touched her arm.
It won't hurt.
And then he smiled, a beatific, toothless grin.
Tell me the same.
It won't hurt?
The old blind man nodded and patted her arm.
I hope you're right. And I hope you understand, Dr. Strange.
Jane stared down at the knife, pausing only briefly over the mistaken name. Reality had been slipping away from her for months. When it had started, the effects had been simpler. Confusion over whether a conversation had actually taken place. Emotional hangovers from nightmares that had lasted all day. Later, she found herself grabbing her phone to search for the contact information of a person she knew intimately, only to discover that they didn't exist. She lost objects in rooms she could no longer find, and regularly performed feats that she knew to be impossible. Finally, physics had stopped working altogether. People and places regularly transformed before her eyes, and the continuity of time had been utterly shattered. Resisting the chaos only seemed to make it worse, so Jane was doing her best to surrender to the turmoil. It was so confusing she barely had time to wonder whether she was going insane. When she looked up again, she was standing on the orange carpet in the middle of the basement she used as a bedroom in her mother's Hudson Valley home. It smelled faintly of mold, but it was bigger than the tiny room upstairs she'd used as a girl, and it featured sliding glass doors that opened out into the woods behind the property. She was fully dressed, the hunting knife clutched in one hand. Glancing through the glass doors, she could see that it was light outside, late morning. Raindrops clung to the yellow leaves of the birch trees, just as inside they beaded and sparkled on her oversized green anorak. She stood completely still for a moment, except for her hazel eyes, which roved the room restlessly until they eventually landed on her phone. She walked over to it, touched the screen with a wet finger, and then absently dried off her hand on the front of her t-shirt.
Google Dr. Misra.
3 results came up: a pediatrician, an internist, and a neuroscientist. That part, at least, was easy. Jane slipped the knife into a buckskin sheath, stuffed it and the phone into an already overfull backpack, and then slipped out the sliding glass doors. Graphic Audio presents Marvel's Doctor Strange, The Fate of Dreams by Devin Grayson. Copyright Marvel. Narrated by Richard Rowan. With performances by Chris Ganabach, Lynette Rothnam, Gillian Levine Sisson, Scott McCormick, Nana Ingvarsson, Tony Nam, Colleen Delaney, Brian Hemmingson, Danny...